Overall thoughts on how this went today and a good turnout?
It was a great turnout. We actually had prepared to do 2 town meetings back to back in case there were people who were left outside or unable to come in. So we were able to get everybody into the room, excited that we had such a diverse group of opinions. And that's what's made this country great. The fact that you can have an open public town meeting, share very different views. I mean, people who wanted single-payer healthcare systems to people who basically want to close a lot of departments of government down. I mean, this is something that people have the opportunity in this country that's second to none.
Does it concern you that people are booing each other in meetings like this?
It becomes a little bit of a challenge when you're dealing in a political environment that is very tough right now, and to have those questions being made, and there are a number of activists up front with their pocket cameras who are there to basically try to catch a 30-second soundbite for their TV commercials come this fall. We've got some major challenges ahead of us. This country's got to make some tough decisions. And when everybody tries to put those down into 30-second sound bites, it's going to be tough to solve the big problems we need to.
Cory, related to that, how do you take the information from this town hall back to Washington and turn it into legislation? Or is all of this just political theater that gives everybody a chance to sort of vent?
No, it's homework for us. I've got a lot of homework to do. There were several bills that were brought up that we'll have involved. I want to see what they do, what they don't do. There were some ideas that were put here on just even on how we communicate our information and what we're doing. And so how do we make sure that we're delivering our message in a way that everybody there can see what we're doing and what we're talking about and how to communicate back and forth. So in fact, some of Colorado's most significant achievements have come out of town meetings. If you look at the Great Sand Dunes National Park, the idea for the creation of the Great Sand Dunes National Park came from a town meeting in Alamosa, Colorado.
Were they screaming at each other at that town meeting?
Yeah, I think it may have been a little bit different, more subdued.
And then, so what was kind of your key aha moment out of the discussion with constituents today? Anything that kind of caught you by surprise?
Yeah, actually, the focus today, clearly, you saw where it was. It was on jobs and spending. At least, to me, that's where that focus really came back to was, jobs. How do we create jobs? The differences of opinion on whether government does it, whether tariffs or taxes are needed to create jobs, and what happens on spending, and how do we responsibly reduce the spending of our government. So I think those are really a couple of the clear issues or statements coming out of the town meeting.
And on the Nat Gas Act, one of the questioners was obviously bringing up the Koch brothers.
Could you move over here so I'm not shooting his ear? Great.
So one of the questioners mentioned the Koch brothers, and I think you responded that had nothing to do with it. You did say that you had comments from several local businesses around that. Who are those businesses, and what was their
I haven't talked to them about sharing their story publicly yet, because they're businesses that do use natural gas. I will tell you, one was in the fertilizer business just down the road from us, but we can talk more about it.
And so, before you agreed to co-sponsor that act, had you not talked to any of these businesses?
We had talked to a number of businesses, but unfortunately primarily in natural gas, and we didn't have the breadth of discussion that we should have had.
Okay.
A number of people we talked to people less than confident that Washington can actually fix things. How confident are you?
We have to fix things. This is a country that needs solutions, and if we don't fix them, future generations aren't going to be better off than we were today.
But can it happen?
Yes, absolutely it can, and it will. As messy as it was, there was a solution reached on the debt ceiling. It's not a perfect solution, but we've got to find people, reasonable, rational people who are going to stand up and do what is right for this country. And that means making sure future generations aren't burdened with the debt and our spending today, but have the opportunity to live a better life.
Congressman, why do you think there's such a disparity as far as among the people of what's going to create jobs and what's going to get this country back on an economic?
There are a lot of people who are focused in on one news source or another, whether they are on the right or the left, who get their information from this blog or that blog or this source, that source, and people are passionate, and they should be, and I'm glad that they're here, and we need to have these conversations. This is our 19th town meeting since being sworn in, our 37th since November 2nd, the election, and every town meeting brings different things, and this will be a different crowd than it will be in Greeley, Colorado.
I also heard from a couple people that didn't think that you were doing enough as far as these town halls and wanting to see you more and asking you more questions.
Yeah, well, we've had 37 since November 2nd, so we'll continue to do more.
Cory,
And we've done teleforms as well. And the teleforms are a way, we've done several teleforms, and that's a technology that allows us to reach thousands of households and to have basically a live interaction on the phone. People can ask questions and have a conversation over the phone number. So, we're trying to utilize all our technological means available, whether that's mail, whether that's correspondence directly from the office, phone calls, town meetings, you name it.
Cory, back to the question about whether Washington really can fix these issues. When the S&P issued their downgrade, when you look at the statement they put out, it really is not a lack of confidence in America being able to repay its debts from a financial standpoint. It's a lack of confidence in the political structure. And the S&P statement mentioned the debt ceiling debate and particularly focused on the Republicans' unwillingness to look at revenues and the Democrats' unwillingness to look at entitlements. And the reason for the downgrade is that they didn't believe that there was evidence at this point that the two parties could get past those kind of two core principles. How do you respond to that?
Yeah. Well, I said it in the town meeting. This country needs more taxpayers by growing jobs, by creating opportunity for people to get back to work, to better their current job and do something even greater for themselves and their families. But in Washington, D.C., the Republicans blamed the Democrats blamed the Republicans, and President Obama blamed S&P. The fact of the matter is the White House and Congress needs to get their job done to cut spending, to reform, put reforms in place that preserve and protect programs, our value safety net programs like Medicare, and we can get that job done. It is our duty to get the job done.
Cory, what do you have to say for the elderly population whose sole income is Social Security? At the same time, gas prices are going through the roof, grocery prices are going through the roof. They've had their cost of living frozen for 2 years. Well, members of Congress in the last 2 years, they gave themselves about $10 grand in pay raises. Is that in any way fair to members of
Well,
the community?
I've supported efforts to cut our budgets, and we've cut our budget by 11%, and we continue to do that. And we're asking everybody else in the country to tighten their belts. Congress has to as well, including me, including everybody else. How do we increase energy production right here in our own backyard to lower the price of energy for consumers, for seniors, for people on a very, very low income? So how do we make sure that we're creating those opportunities for them to get the job they want, to keep the job they have, and policies that promote manufacturing, promote energy development, so that we can lower the price of the goods that they need to support. Thank you guys very much.